Hi, this is Simon and welcome to another Marvelous Videos. The Boys is a show that has taken viewers by storm. Currently streaming on Amazon Prime, the series is a scathing look at the events that ensue when superheroes who are regarded as gods and are as well known as superstars and political leaders misuse their superpowers.
What happens if, I don't know, I do this?
As the boys set out on a valiant mission to reveal the truth about the Seven and their tremendous Vought backing. It's the weak versus the strong. If you're a fan of the boys, then you will thoroughly enjoy today's video, where we will delve deep and explore all the physiological aspects of Homelander, a horrifying take on Superman, played by the brilliant Anthony Starr. Intrigued? Well, keep watching. Before we go into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Hey, everyone.
How did Homelander get his superpowers? Considering that Homelander is the demented parody of Superman in this show, we must start from the very beginning and trace down the source of his powers, now that there are two different versions of Homelander's origin story. The story told in the comics depicts that Homelander was the victim of experimentation. The dark secret of acquiring superpowers in The Boys is that Vought International, the company responsible for creating soups, created them through the use of a drug known as Compound V. Despite widespread public perceptions on the contrary, many of the Seven and other supers were administered Compound V injections as young children, which led to the manifestation of superpowers in them. Homelander is no exception. As far as the comics are concerned, he was injected with Compound V when he was just an embryo within his mother's womb. In a horrifying turn of events, his powers manifested as soon as he was born. His heat vision power activated due to the stress he was under, which otherwise only makes babies cry, and resulted in the death of his mother and the nurses that were in the room. He was then held to be an alien baby, just like Kal-El or Superman was introduced to the world. This stopped people from questioning Vought International, as they never suspected that the organization was tampering with genes and experimenting on humans. The mystery behind his powers in the show is only a slight deviation from the comics. Instead of being injected as an embryo, Homelander was found and taken in by Vought. Thus, while his birth was natural, he was still injected with Compound V as a child, leading to him gaining superpowers. In fact, his upbringing in the lab proved to be so traumatic that many of his psychiatric issues that we see on the show appear to have their roots there. The fact that he was separated from his parents, especially his mother, when he was extremely young, contributed to how he chose to use his powers as well. Further in the show, he is not portrayed as an alien. Instead, the marketing team of Vought International weaves a story, painting him and his journey in a very believable American relevant scenario. Hands down, one of the series' greatest superheroes, Homelander is also one of Vaught's most elaborate experiments. Thus, whichever media you like better, the comics or the show, in both Homelander's powers are a direct result of being experimented upon by Vought and Vought International and being injected with Compound V. Frederick Vought developed Compound V, an alchemical super serum for the Third Reich. The Germans sought to use the serum during the Second World War to develop super troops for Nazi Germany. The serum was created to improve the human body and mind. In the universe of The Boys, the serum continues to be produced by geneticists at Vought International to turn regular people into remarkable heroes, a process that Homelander went through as a child. Exploring his heat vision. Is it similar to Superman's? Heat vision is a superpower that most comic book fans will immediately associate with Superman. However, Homelander also has heat vision. As we just discussed in the comics, his heat vision activated the moment he was born and resulted in the death of his mother and the nurses in the delivery room. However, while both of these heroes have heat vision, there are some fundamental differences in their powers that prove that Superman is still the OG. After all, Homelander was modeled after Man of Steel. He can never be Superman. As far as Homelander's heat vision is concerned, Homelander has the ability to emit powerful beams of red heat energy from within his eyes. These energy bursts are so strong that they can destroy practically anything, including aircrafts. He also once melted a thief's gun to the latter's hand using his heat vision. Homelander is also well known for using his optical beams on victims, which effortlessly melt skin and bone and cause them to erupt in the goriest fashion one can imagine. Homelander's tendency to threaten other supes like storm front suggest that his thermal vision can likely cut through the majority of them. This is also an extraordinary versatile power that Homelander wields because he has control over the beam's intensity, being able to warm milk bottles and burn through flesh. Superman's heat vision, however, works quite differently. Superman can perform cellular reconstruction using his heat vision. Even if Homelander tried, he couldn't do this, and that already sets the two apart. Superman has the ability to fry or destroy any technological device with his heat vision, which takes the form of microwaves, another thing that Homelander cannot do. Additionally, Superman can control matter at the subatomic level with his heat vision. He has the ability to produce antiparticles, use quantum mechanics to manipulate objects, and communicate with the technology that controls them. Hence, we can say that while Superman and Homelander both have heat vision, their powers are vastly different, as are their uses. As a result, many claim that Homelander's I-beams resemble Hyperion's more so than Superman's. What is the true extent of Homelander's brute physical strength? Superman is known for his super strength, so it only makes sense that his deranged counterpart Homelander will also have enormous physical strength. According to Jonah Vogelbaum, a retired Vault scientist and member of the Seven Stormfront, Homelander is reported to be the strongest man on Earth. He was also capable of throwing a baseball from New York to Boston. Imagine the sheer strength needed to be able to accomplish this. It's insane. He once gave Blindspot's head a strong slap that ruptured his eardrums and resulted in significant bleeding. He is also known for quickly defeating Starlight and Doppelganger, hoisting the latter off the ground and breaking their neck with just one hand. The list of his physical prowess is endless. Later, he also fought with Stormfront, casually crushing a man's head in one hand. Queen Maeve was also physically overpowered by Homelander, who also gouged out her right eye. Further, he tossed the first criminal high into the air with ease when he and Queen Maeve stopped a heist. He also deftly pushed open a door that was blocked by scaffolding with one hand and punched a shooter so hard that he got his fist embedded in his body. Homelander also once carelessly knocked off a pressurized plane's door, but he claimed that he couldn't lift the hijacked aircraft to safety, implying that he can't use his full strength while in flight and needed a solid surface to do it. This was further demonstrated when he was hovering in the air during his confrontation with Kenji Miyashiro, and the full weight of a falling bus and concrete debris was brought down on top of him. He was unable to use his tremendous strength to stop the bus as it fell or even catch it and hold it up. Thus, while there are some drawbacks and loopholes when it comes to his brute strength, he is easily one of the strongest men on Earth, if not the most powerful. Just one look at the show or the comics will tell you just how powerful this man is. How does Homelander fly? Like many heroes, Homelander can fly. Homelander can levitate and move, suspend in the air, and at supersonic speeds, which enable him to travel great distances quickly. One of the most notable incidents where he showcases his flying prowess was when, before F-16 fighter planes could arrive to rescue a hijacked aeroplane, he did. When you consider that the highest speed of an F-16 jet is just around 1,500 miles per hour, Mach 2, this feat is crazy. Stillwell further adds to the evidence demonstrating that Homelander is quicker than an F-16 jet, as he confirms his feat. Further, Frenchie's neutral networked CCTV identified Homelander flying at sea level at speeds close to 1,874.482 kilometers per hour, Mach 1.53, when he was out canvassing the city for Translucent. His ability to fly at immense speeds combined with his incredibly quick reflexes make him a force to be reckoned with, to the point where Homelander prevented Billy Butcher from suffering any injuries from a point-blank explosion by getting to him insanely quickly and moving him from harm's way. The requirements that the Homelander's body and physiology must meet in order to fly at the altitudes and speeds he does are even more terrifying. In such a thin atmosphere and at such speeds, breathing would be quite challenging. That implies that Homelander cannot suffocate. At least not usually. The harsh conditions, high heat and friction that he faces while flying is another testament to his remarkable immunity and durability. Why couldn't he save the crashing plane when he could fly and had super strength? We've already spoken about this super strength and some drawbacks and limitations that even a superhero like Homelander is subject to. Well, it is because of one of these limitations that Homelander was not able to save the crashing plane. The explanation is actually quite simple. While he does have the brute strength and sheer power to lift up a plane, he cannot perform that feat of physical prowess while flying or being suspended in the air. This is because since he does not have the ground to push against and stand on, on, he is unable to withstand the weight of the falling plane while hovering in the air. He says, "What am I going to stand on? Air?" This sentence clues audiences into what is actually happening. He would have been able to save the crashing plane if he had his feet firmly planted on the ground, but is unable to do the same when he has nothing to stand on and is essentially levitating. What are the powers of Homelander's enhanced vision? Homelander's enhanced vision has two primary powers. He has X-ray vision and telescopic vision. Starting with his X-ray vision, Homelander's ability to see through solid objects and surfaces, with the exception of those coated with zinc, suggests that he possesses only low-energy proton X-ray vision. He once X-rayed Stan Edgar and said that he could see that his blood was as thick as motor oil, which indicated that he was extremely close to having a heart attack. Stillwell also once admitted that further. Butcher was also aware of Homelander's ability to look through the ceiling. Coming next to his telescopic vision, Homelander has the ability to zoom in just with his eyes, enabling to observe surroundings, people, and faraway objects. Imagine being able to zoom in on faraway objects just with your own eyes. Pretty cool, right? His telescopic vision was on full display when he peered through a wall with his X-ray vision while stalking Madeline Stillwell, then carefully zoomed in on her to get a better look. With both of these abilities, it makes Homelander an excellent spy and great for reconnaissance and information gathering. He is able to do what even the most advanced cameras and equipment are unable to do in most cases.
The only man in the sky.
Does he also have superhuman sense of smell and hearing? Homelander, being a superhero, possesses heightened senses in general. However, coming specifically to this sense of smell and hearing, his abilities are far from beyond that of a regular person. Homelander's olfactory capabilities are astounding and far superior to that of an ordinary human. His smelling senses is enhanced to the point that he has the ability to find bombs using his sense of smell, a function currently performed by sniffer dogs in police forces. He also once detected the presence of heightened adrenaline in Huey and Starlight, which allowed him to determine that they were both feeling anxious. It is truly an amazing skill to be able to detect physiological changes in other individuals. Additionally, he detected Billy Butcher's scent on Queen Maeve, alerting him to their thirst. This means that it is very tough to hide things from Homelander, considering the fact that he can literally sniff out anything and everything. Coming next to his sense of hearing, Homelander has extraordinary oral sensitivity, which enables him to hear sounds from great distances away. Additionally, he was able to listen in on the Baltimore mayor through a wall and watch Madeline work. He could literally hear and eavesdrop on conversations without any effort. In another instance, Butcher and Starlight's hearts were thumping, and he could hear both of their hearts. This is some vampire-level hearing sensitivity that makes Homelander extremely scary. He can thus also detect lies by using his hearing as well, since he judges what people are saying based in the fluctuations of their heartbeat and other minute changes that he is only able to notice, smell, and hear. He can also determine whether someone is eager or worried by listening to their heartbeat and blood pressure, like he did when he noticed Huey Campbell's blood pressure was 150/90. On another occasion, Starlight informed Stan Edgar that Homelander could hear A-Train through the wall, and A-Train muttered an expletive at him. Later, Homeland also overheard Grace Mallory secretly tapping on a smartphone in her pocket from a considerable distance outside, and Roger talking across rows of seats in the sound studio. This goes to show that his ears are able to do what one would need considerably advanced technology to do. Well, he is a superhero after all. Can Homelander reproduce? We all know that control is everything to Vought and Vought International. It is the very control that led to Vought making sure that Homelander was sterile. They appeared to want to prevent Homelander in particular from procreating, since it turned out that he was the only one that they had gone to certain lengths to ensure that he would not be able to father a child. Even one of the strongest soups, Queen Maeve, has kids in the comics. Thus, Vaught's attempt to sterilize Homelander seemed to be limited just to him. In fact, the Seven's leader in the first season of the show was surprised to learn that Ryan was his child because he thought he could not have children as a result of his genetic makeup. Homelander even confronted Jonah Vogelbaum about whether or not Ryan was truly his son, and if yes, how exactly was that possible? However, the scientist was at a loss for words and was unable to offer up a proper explanation. There is thus no explanation for why and how Homelander was able to father a child in the first place. Some call it a plot hole, while others simply chalk it up to be coincidental circumstances. It is unsure if he will be able to reproduce once again. Thus, Homelander appears to be the only superhero whose sterility is intended to prevent him from having children. This is undoubtedly because of how hazardous his abilities are. They wanted to make sure that Homelander would never be seen to create Homelander 2.0, who could possibly have a mind of his own, along with all the amazing powers that Homelander has. Is Homelander indestructible? Homelander is hands down the most physically durable of the 7, if not all the supes. He is exceedingly resilient to physical harm due to the point that even regular bullets do nothing to him. In addition to being the entirely bulletproof, he is also unaffected by explosives. This is demonstrated by the times Billy blew up the Stillwell house while he was within it, or when an entire power plant was destroyed, and Homelander emerged from both situations completely unscathed. No weapon on Earth has succeeded in defeating him, according to Madeline Stillwell, suggesting that he could withstand nuclear blasts as well. This makes him a whole new level of indestructible. However, this was disputed by Homelander himself when he dared Maeve to leak the Flight 37 video. During this time, he indicated that he would take out air defenses first, hinting that he may be at risk from anti-aircraft fire or heavy artillery. He wouldn't need to get rid of them if he were really immune to traditional weapons. So, while he is immune to regular gunfire, heavy artillery can possibly take him out. Homelander once even taunted Victoria Newman and asked Victoria to try blowing him up because he thought himself to be invincible. Another instance that shows just how indestructible he is when Homelander was pursuing Kenji Miyashiro and the boys when a bus and several large concrete blocks were placed on top of him. Homelander was unharmed, other than being dirty from the incident. Another insight into his indestructibility is that Billy Butcher hypothesized that Soldier Boy, who was almost as powerful as Homelander, could only be killed by the force of a thermonuclear bomb. Homelander has significant facial bruising after a tough fight with Soldier Boy, Butcher, and Huey. Homelander was able to withstand Maeve's punches and kicks, but they still hurt him to some extent and even caused him to bleed from the nose. During the fight, Maeve also jammed a metal rod into Homelander's ear, drawing blood and making his ear ring. Hence, he is not completely indestructible.
Do it!
Can Homelander be killed? Eliminating Homelander completely would definitely be exceedingly challenging. If you're a fan of the comics or even the show, you are definitely familiar with the fact that Homelander is incredibly strong, in a similar vein to the most vexing weed in the garden that you can never completely get rid of. Homelander is incredibly tough to kill. However, Homelander is still a human and he still ages, so yeah, he is killable. However, we are still unsure of how he can be killed in terms of the show. In the comics, however, and this is a major spoiler, so skip ahead to the end if you don't want to know what happens, Homelander does die. In an insane twist of events, Homelander is the only person capable of killing Homelander. Kind of. In the comics, Black Noir is the one who murders Homelander. The president is killed by Homelander during the two's bloody and merciless fight at the White House. After killing his competitor, Black Noir only leaves his arms and chest as a physical reminder of his existence. Everything about it is horrifying and gory. Further, it is later revealed that Black Noir is really a Homelander clone that Vought made in order to control the original. It turns out that Black Noir has been accusing Homelander of committing several felonies, when the truth is revealed that the two heroes clash. Thus, he can definitely be killed. In fact, while he is a take on the OG Superman, he is not the same level as the Man of Steel. He is hence definitely prone to injury or even susceptible to death. Considering that he will likely be killed by Black Noir in the show as well, it is simply a matter of waiting and watching the show. Who Black Noir is in the Boys series is still a mystery. He might be an identical Homelander, or he might be someone else completely entirely. However, it appears from the comics that a fellow Homelander is the only thing that can put a Homelander to death. Perhaps Ryan, his superhuman kid, is the one in question here. We will have to keep watching to see if and when he dies, and who ultimately kills him.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
Is Homelander's real weakness craving for love and affection? Homelander has a weakness much like Superman, and it is incredibly complicated. For Superman, it's kryptonite, the hazardous rock from the DC superhero's home planet, but for Homelander, it's something more abstract. His weakness is more of an idea, and the Season 2 finale of The Boys makes excellent use of showcasing it as Homelander finds himself in a difficult situation when the public's devotion for him is threatened. This is because his real weakness is his insane obsession with being loved and wanted. To understand his real weakness, we have to delve deeper into his psyche. The evil and perverted Homelander has a whole different persona that comes to life in front of the public, as often shown in the series and in the comics. Although he is really a criminal at heart, he puts on his best heroic face whenever cameras are rolling and people are present. Homelander also has millions of followers worldwide because of Vought International. He is quickly surrounded by followers who want to take pictures with him when he flies down to be amongst the people, and that attention, appreciation, and affection is what he desires above all else. He's interested in the value of the public's opinion of him, right down to a statistical figure. When the populace began to turn against him in We Gotta Go Now, this was on full show. After the betrayal, he thought about killing everyone, but he ultimately refrained from doing so. It is now obvious why. If he crosses that line, he will permanently lose the public's trust and adoration. This is largely because of his troubled formative years and upbringing in a lab, being deprived of parental affection and a normal childhood. In fact, it was evident from the beginning of The Boys that Homelander's weakness was his need for affection, no matter how wrong or perverted it could be. Fans witnessed this firsthand when Madeline Stillwell kept the soup in check by providing him with the love and care he so desperately craves, being able to control him expertly. In the season 2 finale, this flaw was highlighted even further. In their final confrontation, May vows not to fight him and instead threatens to expose the video of herself and Homelander letting an aircraft full of innocent people crash, as seen in season 1. Homelander responds by saying that he'll kill her nonetheless. However, she counters by saying that she doesn't care as long as she makes sure that everyone sees him for the monster that he is, and that is ultimately what causes him to stop. All he cares about is the throng of people that love and adore him. It fills a void in him, and without it, he would likely fall apart completely. In fact, him losing his status in society is something Homelander will consider worse than death.
Bleeding nipples to quit now. I am doing this.
What makes him so obsessed with breast milk? Coming to more weird and bizarre aspects of Homelander's personality, he has been constantly shown to have an obsession with breast milk. Even though Homelander may be a psychopath, it is obvious that he harbors unresolved hatred towards Vought, the company that raised him to their prized asset. Homelander was created in a laboratory, and unlike other heroes who were still brought up at home like Starlight, his upbringing was dictated by scientists who wanted to turn him into a useful tool or weapon. He exhibited the traits of a frustrated, lonely man in his fascination with watching Madeline pump breast milk, jealousy of their bond with her younger kid, an actual consumption of her breast milk that shocked fans when it was shown in the series. This is because Homelander is driven to fill a hole that arises from his unconventional upbringing, whether you want to call it a Oedipus complex or simply mummy issues. The third season of The Boys also revealed that Soldier Boy is the one who fathered Homelander, since he was born from sperm that Soldier Boy gave to Vought. However, the mother, or the woman who gave birth to Homelander, has not yet been identified. His Oedipal bond with Madison Stillwell and his fixation on breast milk are both clearly caused by his absence of a maternal figure. Homelander's preoccupation with milk, although is in itself quite revolting, it's made much more repulsive by prevailing The Boys' hypothesis that claims Stormfront is Homeland's mother. Homelander's tragic love interest, Stormfront, a blatant Nazi, has been around for more than a century, and take what you will from that.
You people should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am because you need me.
The long list of Homelander's psychological issues. From what we've just discussed, it is evident that Homelander is a terribly disturbed individual. He is a mentally unbalanced adult who was brought up in a lab with barely any human affection. His obsession with gaining people's admiration, severe lack of empathy, and major lack of moral qualms about hurting or even killing others point to a malignant narcissistic disorder. A severe combination of narcissism, antisocial conduct, violence, and sadism is called malignant narcissism. Grandiose and constantly prepared to incite animosity, the malignant narcissist dehumanizes those they associate with while undermining the families and organizations to which they are connected. However, this is not all. His psychological issues also include his innate need for love and affection. Homelander portrays himself as a powerful, self-assured man, but in actuality, he is quite low on self-worth. Due to the absence of human compassion he should have experienced as a young child, he has an obsessive need for everyone to love him. Every time he senses that his image and reputation may be in jeopardy, he swiftly becomes becomes more hostile and mentally unstable. Homelander is also constantly looking for a true family because he was raised alone in a cruel and frigid atmosphere with no sympathy or affection. When Vought learned that Soldier Boy was his biological father, he was so anxious for a connection that it almost cost him both his powers and his life during their second fight because of his drive to prove himself to his father figure. Stan Edgar, his closeness to his son, is another major vulnerability. It can make him rash, unpredictable, and paranoid. Due to his attention being diverted to his injured son and away from Soldier Boy, he was almost defeated by Soldier Boy. Hence, family love and affection are his Achilles heel. As far as the boys is concerned, Homelander is the best superhero alive and the commander of the Seven. He has the look of a movie star and the strength of a god. In addition to being able to fly, he also possesses superhuman strength and hearing, as well as the ability to see through nearly any object with his X-ray vision before destroying it with his laser eyes. Both in the show and in the comics, he presents himself as being amiable, modest, and truthful, the ideal Boy Scout, a national treasure and a God-fearing patriot. But even superheroes have secrets, just like regular people. With this video, we hope that you've been able to demystify Homelander's anatomy and physiology. Which aspect did you find the most shocking? Well, tell us in the comment section below. And of course, if you liked our content, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.